Hi guys, MotoCARR here with another Miata how-to video. This time it's going to be taking apart an NB Miata seat to do either foamectomy or add seat heaters, which I'm doing in this case on this passenger seat. Similar process is going to be for the driver's side. I already did the foamectomy on my driver's side here, so I'm just going to be adding seat heaters to this side. So first off, once you get the seat out the car, go ahead and tip it forward. First, you're going to want to remove these bolts on the sliders here. Should be able to see if there's going to be some gold ones. 4 of them. One here, 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 and here. So we'll get those taken off. Set these aside and probably help to find the right side first. Now let's slide the seat around. See if I got it in the shot. Yes, so we'll take these 2 bolts as well as this 17mm off. So these, actually, you know, that 17 could probably stay on there on this side. Rails are off. Go aside. Next, we can go ahead and take this 8mm off the side here. Flip the seat around again. This time we're going to take these screws out. Now this cover will slide off. Let me see what I got in here. Okay, yeah, so this will slide off. It's hinged at the top here. There's a plastic piece that's kind of hanging on the metal bracket. So first we got to take this off. When I did the other side, I just got a regular hook tool, and let's use the back side of this ratchet. So we slide it in here. Give a couple taps and it comes right off. Now with that off, now that it's loose in the back, we want to slide this whole piece this direction. I'll show you why in a sec. There we go. It's loose from the back side. Now slide it up to get it past the adjustment lever. So here's your orientation. If I flip it around, these are the pieces that you're trying to unhook from the side. So you want to unhook it like this and then slide it off from the slot, which is on the lever. Now that we're on here, you can take these golden ones off. These are 14 once I find mine. These are 14, right? Yes. Oh, we gotta crack these loose. the seat bottom obviously is off. Why is it coming loose? There we go. So the seat bottom just screws in on this side, and then over here there's a hole. There we go. That hole there is in this pin. So unbolt it, slide the seat up, unhinge it, and pull it off. Oh, probably help if I kept my front plate in the car. So I'll just continue with the disassembly because we gotta do this for the back anyway. So we're gonna have to take the screw right there. This one's gotta come out. Now this piece will slide up, similar to the other side. This section here hooks onto this bracket, so don't pry it off. Chances are you'll split it down here. Just slide it this way. 14s again. Juice. Yep. Shouldn't be that hard to come out. It's just my impact's low. And then there's the side bracket. Put that side. Alright, now we got the seats completely disassembled. I'm going to move back to the bottom. Oh, I lied. We're not completely done. So this side here, there's a little insert. This round insert here. This has to come out. Doing that by pressing it out. So I'll show you what you see. This insert is in this plastic piece, so just push it out from this side. Push it out and it pops out this side, this direction. Once that's out, this plastic piece, there's a plastic piece on here, this has to go up. There we go. Now that this is plastic, the reason why I gotta take this off is that once we get all of these hog rings removed, in order to flip the fabric up, you could see that this metal bracket slides through. So you have to unloose the hog ring, take this plastic cover off in order to be able to slip the cover up and off of this metal bracket. So I'm gonna pause the video here and I'll continue it once I get all the hog rings removed. Okay, I've got all the hog rings off except for one. I wanted to leave one on there to show you how I take them off. Kind of learned a trick after doing the first seat. I think I got one. In case you don't know what a hog ring is, this is basically what it looks like. Picture a coat hanger material. There you go. It's bendable, and they put upholstery on. This closes, so we're using a hog ring pliers. Set it on, and then they clamp it close. So this is what's holding the upholstery on. So once you pull these off, essentially what I'm doing is I grab a hold of it if I can here, and then just twist it 90 degrees. So you're here, or I'm sorry, yeah, 90 degrees. So start here, and then just make it one twist this way, and pull it off. And they usually pop off pretty easily. Let's see if I can get it to work. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. So we're going with this one here, this bottom one in the corner. So we grab hold of it, twist it 90, and then pull. And see, it comes right off. So once we get this one out, figures it's the most difficult one. There we go. So once we get all these off, we're ready to pull the upholstery back. So you can see, pull all this back. Over. And then it comes up really easy. Now don't yank on it too much, because see these seams here, and seams across, there's little flaps on all 4 sections attached with hog rings as well, and they put it in there to keep this upholstery from getting loose and floppy. So when you pull it up, you can see it's stuck. It doesn't want to come any farther because you can see these hog rings are down along here. So once we get this all up, there we go. We can actually remove the foam from the pan. Now if you're doing a foamectomy, you don't have to remove these hog rings. I'll show you what I did. In this case, I know some people, they take the upholstery all the way off and they take an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches off the top. But essentially what I did is I took it off the bottom, because you could see this bulge down. I'll show you what I did to get this loose. Don't be afraid to give it a little tug, because it's just stuck with age. There we go. Once we get it separated, alright, so this is the way it sits. So see the bulge on the bottom? Here's the bulge on the seat. Let's see if I can get a good angle for it. There's a big huge lump where those 4 dots are right here. It's about 2 inches total in depth. This whole section right here. So I'll show you what I did with my driver's side. You can see that it's uneven. So I took about 1.5 inches off the driver's side. And you can see it's uneven. Not sure how it would feel sitting on it, because I can't, use a carving knife to do this. I don't have an electric knife or a blade long enough to stretch all the way across. So I didn't want to sit on this. Wasn't sure how it was going to feel if I'm going through all this work. I hate to feel lumps and stuff. That's why I take it off the bottom. So once you lop off this section from the bottom, now this rough side that's going to be exposed on the seat is now in the pan. So the seat actually, you'll sit lower in the seat still, but you'll just have a void in here. So when you sit on the seat, it comes down and the bottom gets pushed against this. And over time, it's going to get mashed down so you won't have that gap in there. But I wanted to make sure that when I sit on this seat, it's still nice and flat, but you'll still sit lower because you're taking the material out from the bottom. So that's as far as I got for foamectomy. Then assembly is exactly like reverse. Put the seat back on and go through the steps backwards to get the seat put together. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'll show you guys the way I laid out my seat heaters for those who want to do that. Okay, back again. Got all of the hog rings out from the insides of the seat. So you can see what I did is I took them out from down here across here, and across here. I left these in place. You don't need to take them off, so you just want to flip the seat cover over like that. So now, here's what you're left with. This bare seat. So you could see there were 5 hog rings holding it to a metal bar down here, same up here, and then the ones down over here. So the way this works is the heating element lays flat along here. So I'm not going to be reinstalling these. So because these have plastic on them, these plastic trims, I don't want that pressing on it. I'm actually going to just cut mine off down here. Remove. So the hog seat covers down, hog rings clamp this piece down to the piece of metal. So removing that one. Removing that one as well. And here's the heating element. It's got the adhesive strips. This one, yours will probably have a plug on it. I cut mine off because where I'm going to put them, I need to extend the wire a little bit, so I went ahead and did that in the car. So yeah, here it is. Heating element. This is the non-adhesive side, adhesive side. So you want the adhesive to stick on the foam. So I'm going to apply it this side, just like this. Alright, so now you got that laid down. You want to make sure just push it down on the crevice here a little bit. It doesn't have to go all the way down, but just make sure it's on there nice and tight. Then you want this to hang out the back, because essentially when you put this all back together, the way I did it is put this back on and then reattach. You'll see these holes where the hog rings were. Just use zip ties. So I'm going to zip tie this back down and then eventually feed this wire through here. This is a hole for one of the hog ties. Just makes it nice and clean. That way when it's wrapped up and done, you'll see the cord hanging out the back like that. So again, I'll pause this, get that taken care of, then I'll restart. Okay, so we're back in. You can see I got the seat heater is applied, and I went ahead and put the zip ties back on. You probably won't be able to see it, but you can see they're all zip tied back in. So I'm going to leave this as is for now. Move on to the back. That way you can see that process. Alright. So we got the back seat. Just flip it around and tip it back. And under this flap here, make sure I'm in shot. There we go. Tip this flap back. You'll see there are more hog rings. I've got them all removed except for this last one. So we'll take this one off. And grab tight, twist, pull it off. Backs are pretty straightforward. So you can see this flap has come loose. And then this just flaps up. So what we're going to end up doing, if you were to have any other seat, typically what you'd want to do is pull these hog rings up, pull this up, and then slide the whole pad underneath. The Miata's got this padding here, so you want it to get as close to the surface as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting my pads, you can see this, it's a little pocket type thing here. So I'm going to slide the heating element up in here rather than leaving it on top, just to get a little bit closer to the actual seat back. So what I'll do is leave this here like this, and then I cut a little slit here up top. Let's see why in a sec. There we go. Just cut a little hole. Let me get this adhesive off. So essentially what I'm going to end up doing is wind up so it ends up flat and closed like this. I'm taking the end with the plug, slide it up through here, and then tuck the remaining part up under the seat. Should probably take these hog rings out. So yeah, let me take those out and then I'll continue. Okay, back again. Sorry about that. Got the hose. Keep calm, hose rings. Hog rings out. Again, similar black flap. I'm gonna cut this off. Now I have my adhesive back side. So again, because we're gonna lay this flat, just so you kind of get an orientation. Lay it flat, and you know that this side doesn't really matter if it's. I usually try and put the adhesive side towards the thick side of this. So in this case, once we flip, if you want to think of it this way, flipping it like this. So now we know to just slide it in this way. So we'll take this section here. Try not to press it a little too much so the adhesive doesn't stick where we don't want it. I'm just snaking the wire up to that hole I made. There we go. I'm just pulling the wire to help guide it in. You don't want to yank it through by the wire because you don't want to pull the cords out of the heating element, but at least just to get it started. Tuck it up in this little pocket area here. There we go. It slides in fairly easily once you kind of get it going. Okay. Now this is kind of where it's max, so it's hitting all top here. I'll push it flat a little bit. And then, as I was explaining before, this remaining portion, I'm going to tuck it up. You'll see when you pull it up, there's a flap, and it goes underneath the foam. So I'm going to tuck it up in there. So give me a second, I'll block the camera. So hopefully you can see where the element is in there. It's rounded. Oh, hanging out a little bit. There we go. So you can see, so basically the heating element comes down and then it wraps around and goes back. That way when we unfold it like this, you have a heating element all the way up here. And then you have the cord down at this bottom end, which you'll see at the very end, it comes out the back. That way it's the most efficient way possible to get the cable out. So I'm going to pause it and continue later. Okay, back at it. We're at the home stretch. So I just went ahead and I zip tied the remaining ones in. You can see here's the last one. Alright, now the back side is done. So let me go ahead and flip back to the main one, or the seat bottom. And now we'll just go ahead and assemble the seat in reverse. So pull these back down. Make sure we get this over the bracket. Try and work your way around, because if you put one side on completely and then try and get the other side, you won't get the creases or the folds out. There we go. These holes line up just as they were before. So again, pause and more zip ties. Okay, we're back at it. Got all the bottom zip tied. You can see these were all the hogs rings were. Now we've got all these zip ties in place instead of them. So go ahead and clip this last one. Now we are ready to put the seat back together. I just noticed this foam is hanging out here. See if I can pull this out real quick. There we go. Okay, so to get the seat back together, we're just going to do it back in reverse. So again, this metal bracket, we put that cover back on. This cover goes back on. Now we got that hole there. Make sure to put this round adapter back in. Okay. That's all that's needed for that side. Now we get the seat back. Now this pin goes in this hole. Alright. Let it sit there. Now we can get our seat bracket, or see the actual tilt lever adjustment mechanism back on. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. I'm going to put this on first. Make it a little easier. So we're going to put this bracket on first. Now put the seat back. Put the pin in the side over here. There it goes. So now what we'll do is put these final two bolts in on the side. This way. All right. Now we're ready for this cover. And this one slides on. I missed. There it goes. And then one of the screws goes in here. Now this cover goes back on, and this one slides here. So again, don't forget these need to anchor on this side of the bracket. So what we'll do is let's try this way. There we go. A little more working room. Tucked in there. Oop, almost. Nope, I keep missing. There it goes. All right. Let's make sure we're getting these two screw holes lined up. So we'll get the first one going here. And the second one, oh, too tight. Okay. Now your seat back lever can go on. Spin your seat back around for this 8mm to go back in. Get my ratchet. Hand snug. Should be fine. Alright. Lay it out the back. Now we're going to put the rails back on. Yeah, we'll go on like this. Holes close to lined up. There we go. I always like to thread the bolts in by hand at first before hitting them with any kind of power tools. That way you reduce the risk of cross-threading any of your threads. Rail down. So it can come down. And the last two are the side bracket bolts here. Okay, seats back together. I'm gonna go ahead and snug these up a little bit tighter with the hand ratchet because I think my impact's getting a little low on juice. So pause the video until we get these seats back in the car. Okay, I've got the seat back in the car. When it comes to wiring, this is how I did mine. The kits come with relays and this wiring harness pre-built. Usually it's going to be the harness, 2 wires, and a switch. Ignore these. These are for stereo stuff in the car. But here's essentially how I ran the wires. So basically what you have here is this is plugs for the passenger side, plugs for the driver's side, the relays to drive the seat heaters, and then I snaked the wires up here to in the console. So essentially this single wire over here, this is going to go to the passenger side. Okay, so for perspective, here's how I have the wiring done. You can see the seat is in the car. Here are the wires coming out the back. Here's gonna may look a little different. What I did here is I had to extend the plugs because I wanted to run them all the way up behind the carpet to come out here. Now, I will pull these a little bit tighter in here, but essentially, you can tell from the last video, the last clip, what I was doing is I wanted these plugs facing this direction so that when I put the console in, I can just tuck these wires up in here. They'll run down and come out the bottom here and go in the seat. So, let me flip this around. Again, here's the front. I added this wire loom here. I added this because these are my power connections. You can see running on the dash and then coming out here. So this is what's going to get connected to the ignition, which I have bare here. Ignore all those wires. That's for the remote start. But they're going to come out here, and then my switch is going to get mounted here in this blanking panel. So you can see those. There's the switch. So this is just one long cord that goes all the way back to the relays. So mount the relays under the center console, plug the wires in the back, run them all the way up here, mount the switch here, connect it to ignition here. I wanted to ignition because should I or the wife accidentally leave the seat heaters on, I want that to shut off with the key. So that way if you're in the car and leave the seat heater on and you turn the car off, then your seat heaters are running the whole time. Because if they're connected to 12 volts and you leave the switch connected to on, it's going to run till the timer cuts out. I believe it's 15 minutes, but definitely want to connect this to ignition. That way key shuts everything off. Alright, last steps. You can see here is, this is the remote start I have here, but you can see these are the wires that I ran up to the ignition here. So we've got the blacks tied into the remote start wire, which is grounded right here. And then I have the 2 fuse holders, 1 per seat, 10 amp fuse in each. And it's connected to this wire right here. Kind of hard to see, but it is the red wire with the black stripe, not the black with the red. That's the starter wire. So we got the red wire with the black stripe. This one here is what I have these connected to. That's ignition. And then still got to push it in. Gotta make a little space so it doesn't quite fit all the way, but let me find the keys first off. That's right, I'll use the remote start. Okay, so this is the switch. Bottom is low, top is high, and just click it. It's on high, low's green. I already tested it, it is working. Gets pretty decently hot. I haven't let it run out till the timer goes off, but yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, post them up in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them, either on this seat heaters, the foamectomy, or on remote starts in general. Talk later, guys.